Stay focused, no distractions, and grind.
There are only two types of Americans: those who live in New York and those who wish they could.
Thank you to our audio specialist for making that on his own. Good morning, everybody. My name is Fabian Levy, and I serve as Deputy Mayor for Communications for the City of New York. Thank you all for joining us for our weekly in-person media availability. Before we begin today, I want to take a minute to recognize the thousands of public servants across our city government who mobilized quickly to keep people informed and safe following Friday's earthquake. Our team at Emergency Management, along with City Hall leadership, quarterbacked the response from dozens of city agencies and thousands of city employees. The NYPD deployed drones to inspect our city's bridges. The FDNY handled an uptick in 911 calls, and OTI handled an uptick in 311 calls. The Department of Buildings headed out across the city to make sure our buildings were safe and stable. And dozens of other city agencies did so much more. It was truly a whole-of-government response. You know, 30 years ago, I lived through the 6.7 Northridge quake in California. It was the deadliest quake in the U.S. has experienced in the last 35 years. At least 57 people died. And it was one of the most damaging earthquakes in the last 100 years in United States history. And while there's obviously a difference between 6.7 and 4.8 on the Richter scale, I'm incredibly grateful to our city's workforce for having the safety measures in place to keep us safe and being ready to handle anything that came their way. We had no deaths, no serious injuries reported, and no major problems with our city's infrastructure. And they kept New Yorkers informed. So keeping New Yorkers informed is our top priority one of the top priorities for our administration, not only during emergencies, but every day. That's why the mayor has once again convened senior leadership today to answer your questions and address important issues. Joining us today are Mayor Eric Adams, First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, Chief Advisors to the Mayor Ingrid Lewis-Martin, Chief of Staff Camille Joseph-Warlick, Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services Ann Williams Isom, Deputy Mayor for Housing, Economic Development and Workforce Maria Torres-Springer, Deputy Mayor for Operations Mayor Joshi, Deputy Mayor for Strategic Initiatives Anna Almanzar, Chief Counsel Lisa Zornberg, and Director of Intergovernmental Affairs Tiffany Raspberry. So without further delay, I'm pleased to turn it over to Mayor Adams.
Thanks so much, Fabian. And you know, we said every week it's the same. Our mission is very clear: protect public safety, rebuild our economy, and make this city more livable for all New Yorkers, particularly working-class New Yorkers. And we're delivering on that promise every day. We can see it around the city, and we're going to continue to move ahead and forge ahead and communicate directly to New Yorkers like we do with our town halls, our older adult town halls, and our youth town halls. And I say over and over again, public safety and justice are the prerequisite to our prosperity. If you are safe, you can really build on that and continue to make this city the great city that it is. And while overall crime has dropped every month this year so far and is down year to date, public safety is about more than just crime stats. It's about protecting New Yorkers, including young people, any way possible. And that's why last week our administration announced a lawsuit against 12 wholesalers for their part in the illegal sale of flavored disposable e-cigarettes to teenagers. They are targeting our teenagers, and there are still long-term health impacts that have yet to be revealed on how this is going to impact them. Nicotine addiction among middle and high school youth is exploding. Thanks in no small part to the actions of businesses like the 11 Defenders. They target young people by using colorful, child-friendly cartoon characters packaging on e-cigarettes. Our city previously banned flavored e-cigarettes, so we would not allow the greedy, harmful, and openly illegal behavior to allow this to return and come back. They're clearly trying to circumvent the law, and we're going to make sure that we fight them with everything we have. It's unimaginable if Jordan was being raised in a time like now all the fight we did to make sure he didn't smoke cigarettes, and now our children have to go up against people who are targeting them with colorful cartoon characters. We have to fight them to stop this from becoming pervasive in our community. We recover all of the private sector jobs, as we say over and over again, because that's how you rebuild the city, employment. And we are accomplishing that, accomplishing and recovering all the private sector jobs during the pandemic. But we cannot forget that too many communities are left behind. And that is why the team is doing the hiring halls where we're going on the ground. We were in Brownsville, we were in Harlem, and really bringing in people to see the pathways to employment. We're receiving several hundred people are finding the step forward by finding a job. Doing so requires us to set up our city for success in the decades to come. That is why we're leaning into our housing policies, the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity Plan. There's so many of us outside yesterday, outside of City Hall, with all the teams and advocates that are coming together. We have to change our zoning rules. It's unbelievable how antiquated they are and how outdated they are. The goal is just to make sure our zoning rules, our rules that we have in governing the city is matching with today's time. And that is why it's important to move from a typewriter mindset to a smartphone mindset, and our laws and regulations must follow that in a real way. 18 zoning changes. We will build our way out of the housing crisis and support the green energy revolution and build the economy of the future. After extensive public consultation and review, including 175 community board meetings and approval and modification by the City Planning Commission, the City Council hearing moves us closer to modernizing regulations in an effort to support new businesses and create jobs. So step by step, we are becoming a city of yes. Yes to more housing, to more businesses, and yes to a future of innovation. And finally, a part of making our city more livable means ensuring every New Yorker has a place to actually live. In our state of the city, we announced 24 in 24 and committed to advancing 24 affordable housing projects on public sites in 2024. That would ultimately create or preserve over 12,000 units of housing. Just a third way through the year, and this morning we announced that we are already past the halfway mark. Great job, DM Maria Torres Springer. The 13th of the 24 in 24 development is the Grand Concourse branch of the New York Public Library. A community engagement process is starting for an affordable housing project and the state-of-the-art libraries that's going to be there. The mission is clear, and we want to meet our State of the City promise by moving 24-24 ahead of schedule, is showing that we're moving in the right direction. Like with Willis Point, we are not waiting for anyone else as we address our housing crisis. We do need help from Albany. We must move forward with a real housing plan. We didn't get it last year. We have been in communication with our colleagues, and they are working hard to make sure that we can get a deal. There's a deal to be made, and we believe we're going to get that deal. And that's why we will continue to travel to Albany, both Tiffany Raspberry, our Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, my Chief Advisor, Ingrid Martin, and Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer. They have been back and forth to Albany with one-time Senator Diane Savino, using her experience to really show why it's important to move this initiative forward. And so we are clearly excited about moving these important initiatives forward as we continue to make our city more livable for every New Yorker. Turn it back over to you, Fabian.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Kayla.
Kayla?
I actually have two questions on two different topics. First of all, the legal question involving the steady drip of information about the investigation going on in the Southern District having to do with campaign finance. the charges that they're looking at, whether you got upgrades on trips. And what I'm wondering about is why, I mean, to me, it's sort of unusual that there's a steady drip of information coming out of a federal investigation that's supposed to be secret. I wonder what your reaction to it is, and your reaction to the fact that they're looking at whether you got upgrades. And my second question has to do with squatters. It's a huge problem in New York City. We've done a number of stories about it. It has to do with people who stay for 30 days and then don't pay the rent. It also has to do with people who break into homes. The city council has a bill that would increase the number of days from 30 to 180. I wonder what your solution to this burgeoning question of squatters.
Yes, this office won't involve in any way in drips. I've said this over and over again. I follow laws. I have great attorneys. My job is to run the city. They are to run the review. And I am pleased with my attorneys, what they're doing. And the process is going to take its course. I have to be focused on running the city. And I say this over and over. That's one of my unique abilities, how to place things in categories. Right now, the category I must do is make sure we land the plane on the budget, land the plane on Albany, land the plane on mayoral accountability, land the plane on public safety. You hire a good team, and just as the people who are sitting up here know their areas of focus, my attorney has their job as this review go on, and I feel comfortable with what they're doing.
Don't you think it's odd that there's a steady drip of information that's coming out of a supposedly secret investigation?
I think that I will reference that in my book once I'm out of government. Right now, let the process take its course. You know, Ingrid and I think Tiffany was even in the meeting. We met with the council leadership of the Common Sense Caucus, and Councilwoman Ariola was talking about this bill. You know, a woman's home is her castle. And I think it's imperative that we continue to protect that. And, you know, there was a reason that squatter laws were put in place. And, you know, I think people are starting to exploit what some of those reasons are. And I always get concerned, you know, your largest investment is your home. That's your largest investment. And we're going to look at the law, and we're going to make sure that we are able to protect homeowners in the city, which I find too often we seem to ignore homeowners, middle class, working class New Yorkers. So we're going to look at this law and see how we could partner with the city council to resolve this issue.
And Mayor, I want to note that the legislation has not been introduced yet into the city council.
Mr. Mayor, the other day, how are you?
Quite well.
Good, thanks. I'm talking,
Yesterday, you got on green today.
yes, spring. Yesterday, or the other day rather, I was talking to the DOT about their smart curb program. It's about setting aside curb, you know, areas for trucks, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought maybe that would be in relation to planning for congestion pricing. And I was told, oh no, there won't be any sort of study about city ramifications for congestion pricing until 18 months after congestion pricing is in place. So how does that make sense? Why wait 18 months? And is there any plan for traffic management or parking management when or if congestion pricing takes effect, which could be this June?
I'm happy to handle that one if you don't mind, Mayor.
Yes.
So, you know, nobody likes to wait for a report. The 18 months is prescribed as part of the state formation of the congestion pricing plan. So DOT is obligated to follow that. So DOT has done a lot of work both before and will be continuing to do work afterwards. The before work I'd like to comment on is over $100 million worth of environmental justice mitigation efforts that will be ongoing in the Bronx and citywide to introduce more EV trucks into our system, provide an asthma center in the Bronx, provide more parkland in the Bronx and green space. And what the ongoing work is DOT is currently working with the MTA on what early interventions they can get in place, really with bike and bus lanes, but it also has to do with parking and curb space, and to ensure that movement, especially in the core, is as easy as possible, and especially for public transit.
So as far as though the council now, I think 2 council members are looking at residential parking permits because they're anticipating Upper Manhattan, you know, really getting loaded down, and people coming up the George Washington Bridge, and Kew Gardens, where there's a big transit hub. So is this part of the plan, the residential parking, or is that not part of your plan?
Well, we're happy to engage with council, but residential parking permits are authorized by the state, so it's something that we would have to engage with our Albany lawmakers on as well. But I want to stress that we do need to see how the rollout shakes out before we preemptively start giving out residential parking permits.
When do you think your report, just one more follow-up, when do you think your report would be ready regarding what you're looking at with the MTA?
Very soon, yes. I mean, the start date is soon, so our report has to be out soon as well.
In time?
In time.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to ask about the law department retaining Alex Spiro, the celebrity lawyer in your sexual assault case. You know, do you think this is a good use of city resources? And also, what does it say about, I guess, the confidence in your ability to win this case that you're bringing on this high-priced private lawyer? I know you're getting a discounted rate. And then separately, the state legislature and the governor appear to be close to a deal that includes good cause eviction. I know you said you want tenant protections in the past, but not specifically good cause. Is this something you're supportive of? Have you reviewed the proposal?
Two things. One, I don't know how one's become a celebrity lawyer. Am I a celebrity mayor? Like, you know, how do you get that? How do you get that classification? My confidence in the Corp Council is clear because they're making the decisions on how to defend something that I've made clear. It never happened. It's not who I am. My character has been clear for over 40-something years. And so they're making the call. My job is to run the city. You put yourself with the right team. I'm the quarterback, and I have an offensive line that is helping me move the ball down the field. I trust my offensive line, and the Corp Council is making the decisions on this, and I respect the decision of the Corp Council. The second question was, what was the second question? Good cause eviction. You know, it's interesting. People get caught up on terminologies and phrases on everything in life. I said I support tenant protection. Everyone likes me to say, no, you have to say this way. I'm not saying it this way. Tenant protections. Whatever we can do for tenant protections, you can call it, people can call it whatever they want, but I don't fall into this neat little box that if you don't call it this, then you're not in support of that. That's just, we got to get away from that, you know. I support tenants being protected, and I support particularly small property owners being able to deal with holding on to their properties. If we lose small property owners, 7, 8, 9, 13, 20, 100 units of housing, big developers are going to come in. We're going to lose the financial base of Black and brown immigrant communities. So whatever we can do to build more, as Maria Torres Springer, Deputy Mayor, has stated, have a 1% vacancy rate, 0% basically when you come down to low-income housing. I'm saying let's not be hypocritical. If you say that we need to house New Yorkers, we need to do things that house New Yorkers. City of Yes, raising the FAR, converting companies, basement apartments, building a little more over the city. All those things is going to allow us to build more so our children can have a future here. And so I have faith in Albany. The governor has been amazing. From the conversation I'm getting from Tiffany Ingrid and DM Torres Springer, we have been engaged in this conversation, and we're going to continue to do so.
Can I just add, Mayor?
Yes.
You mentioned tenant protections, good cause eviction. What's at stake is potentially a comprehensive package, right, of all of the tools that are needed and in this city and hopefully across the state to really tackle the housing crisis. What we know is that we've been very clear. We've been very clear since the start of session, even months before that, about what we need. All of the tools that the mayor mentioned to boost supply, and that tenant protections being part of that package makes a lot of sense. But we've also been clear about the strategy that it would take in order to ensure that we get a housing deal done. And just to give you some numbers, because this isn't the type of thing that happens overnight. Over the course of the last several months, we have done hundreds of meetings, including more than 100 one-on-one meetings with lawmakers. It includes going every week, a member of this administration to Albany to make the case. Really importantly, it has included building and supporting a diverse coalition so that the voices that care about our housing crisis are heard by lawmakers, whether that's houses of worship, tenant advocates, MWBE developers, of course, industry and labor. And where we are now, because of the continued collaboration and partnership and pushing of so many who recognize that we're in a housing crisis, is hopefully on the verge of real action. And so we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep making sure that those voices are heard. But really now is the time to take all of that energy, all of the good proposals, and convert them into real relief for New Yorkers.
What's happening?
I wanted to ask you, police reform advocate Dana Racklin, who worked closely with the NYPD in Brooklyn North under Mayor de Blasio, she yesterday sued the NYPD in the city, alleging that after she had a falling out with leadership, including Jeff Madry and John Chell, that confidential details about a sexual assault she'd reported years earlier made their way into memos circulated inside and outside the police department. Will the city look into how those details were leaked? What is your take on her allegations? Do you think it could deter survivors from reporting sexual assaults? And I don't know how well you know Dana in your years as a police reformer.
I've known Dana from back in days in State Senate, right? Back in his days of State Senate, we line up with many advocates around reforms. And I'm sure if you would speak to her, she would probably tell you how forward-thinking I was around these reforms. This is a legal case. I cannot make it any clearer. That's the job of the attorneys to navigate lawsuits. That's not my responsibility. That's my role. That's not my role. Let the attorneys determine the pathway forward on this.
This is not the only case alleging bad behavior from the people you've appointed in the NYPD.
Let her finish. I like this question.
So I'm just curious. I mean, do you think there's an issue? I know you said Dana would speak highly of you, but it seems like this is the leadership that you've emboldened in the NYPD. There were multiple lawsuits filed against them, accusations about their behavior within the NYPD, particularly towards women. So I'm just curious, do you think it's something that this is being allowed within City Hall's leadership, or is it some sort of behavior? I mean, social media behavior aside, there's pretty serious allegations against people like Chief Madry, people like Chief Chell, people like Kaz Daughtry about how they're treating people in the NYPD. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, if I'm sure you're not new as a reporter, and throughout my 22 years in the police department, these issues are investigated and a determination is made. As a police officer, I filed an EEO on the behavior of some of the leadership. And so that is the purpose of due process. And I know these officers and individuals you mentioned, the men and women, have done an amazing job of driving down crime, keeping our city safe, and doing it in a safe environment. And that's why I put and ensured when I spoke with the commissioner, making sure we have someone like a First Deputy Commissioner, Tanya Kinsella, to look over and make sure we have that atmosphere. And women have progressed in the police department. first women in the history of that department to head our intel division, something that has not been done before. I could go down the line of the progression of women in the New York City Police Department. Let's let the process take its course.
And let me just add this. This is news to us, just like it's news to you. And I believe those assertions or allegations made by Dana dates back. It predates us. We were in Borough Hall at the time. You were a borough president, I think, when these things happened. So we're just learning about it. So we have to be fair and, let the process play out. And because someone is accused of something doesn't necessarily make that person guilty. So we do live in America where you're innocent until proven guilty. So let's let it play out.
What's happening?
So there's a story out that a group of migrant men were moved into the Gowanus shelter before planned state toxin testing. This is a Park Slope in Brooklyn shelter site. So my questions are just, when did it open? Has it been approved by the state? What kind of testing has been done? Are there toxins? And then for the deputy mayor, just hoping for like a general migrant update as well.
And you want to do that, or
I will
Camille?
start, and maybe Camille, Camille, you want to do the general migrant update?
Or I can do the toxins, totally up to you.
Okay. Toxins, and then
Okay, all right, no problem.
Yeah, you two are just so kind.
So obviously, the health and safety of everyone in our care is always sort of the top priority, including making sure that DSS is working to ensure that all of our sites meet both DOB as well as FDNY and other relevant and local state and regulation, that they've passed all the inspections. So in this particular instance, OTDA, which is the Office of Temporary and Disability, they already conducted an inspection of this site and cleared it. In addition to that, the landlord of the site conducted a soil vapor intrusion test, and our city agencies reviewed it and found that there is no indication that there's a current health risk to occupants. We are also working with the State Department of Environmental Conservation to schedule an additional soil vapor intrusion test at this site, which is not mandatory testing.
Do you want to do the general update?
the general update, just the numbers that I would say, we're now at over 189,200 migrants that have come to New York City. Last week, 1,500 migrants have come, which means that there's a slight bit of an uptick that we're seeing, so we're always paying attention to that. We are continuing to work really hard to make sure that we are meeting our peg in terms of cutting costs. We're working on the Callahan implementation and doing the work that we need to do there. And so I don't know if there was anything in particular you wanted to know, Morgan.
Just when did the migrants move into that shelter, and have there been any problems with people reapplying for a shelter bed? Have you guys seen, has things gotten better since the right to shelter?
I think that the people have started moving
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, I was going to say this past last week. And has there been any problems with people?
Reapplying, have you guys seen like an improvement with the right to shelter agreement you guys were able to come to?
So remember, we're still in the process of implementing and working really closely with the Legal Aid Society on what extenuating circumstances are going to look like, who's going to be doing that analysis, making sure that they're trained, making sure that the decisions are standardized. So we haven't technically started to implement the extenuating circumstances yet, but we're having really good conversations with Legal Aid to make sure that we are taking all the time that we need to make sure we get it right.
Hey, Mayor. Just a little bit more on the FBI's Turkish Airlines probe. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about the circumstances around those flight upgrades and just why you believe they were not improper, and if you are going to reimburse the airline at all for any of that?
Okay, I want to make sure when I say no, I'm not saying no about any other thing. No, I'm not elaborating. I have attorneys. They're going to do their job, let them handle their job. I'm focused. Focus, no distractions, and grind. That's what I'm doing. I have an attorney, let the review take its course. It's not going to be reviewed in the press. Let it take its course. How are you?
My question is a different topic. The lawsuits against the companies that marketing e-cigarettes to youth, but my question is about the hazard declared, as social media declared a hazard for youth. Is there any specific steps that the administration started taking in that campaign? Because I just heard it declared as a hazard, but I'm wondering if there's anything specific planned for the schools or work with youth.
We've always been in this space, and I don't know if
I can.
Arson wants to elaborate more, but we've been in this space for some time because we know how important it is. Even when we looked at some of the people who are striking randomly women in the city, you know, this is being pushed on TikTok. You know, and I've been saying this for some time. You know, since being elected, I saw the pattern of duplicating bad behavior that's been pushed on social media. We've been leaning in this. We've been leaning away. We've been a leading national voice. The conference we had with Dr. Fassan to look at this. This is something that we cannot, as New Yorkers and Americans, we can't downplay what social media platforms are doing to our children in general, and I should say our country in general, but specifically our young people.
So the thing I just want to add is, remember, it was a three-pronged strategy. The lawsuit was one part of it, and then also Dr. Fassan had a public health advisory, which really is important because it really raises the attention to everybody to know that we think that there's some harm here. And then the third part was a comprehensive plan that deals with awareness and working with churches and schools and caretakers. So he's in the process of doing that right now. I'm happy to give you more updates on that as we get it. But the purpose there has always been to give information, to have young people involved, to really think about the advisory in terms of that it should be 14 or older in terms of when you're giving young people access to social media. Also, our Teen Space program, which is a little different, but it also helps us to think about the amount of stress that young people are over. And I think we started that a couple of young people experience a couple of months ago, and we've already had 6,000 young people who have used the app. So we're doing all of those comprehensive things, but yeah, really happy to give you an update further on what the plan is and how that's being implemented.
Yeah, and this social media is a real problem. I remember as a child sitting down watching the news with my mom, and you know, you sit there and you're getting facts. And when I speak with Jordan and his peers, they don't watch the news. They don't see Michael Gardner's report on Always Beating Me Up. They don't look at that. You know, it's like all of their information is on their phones. And it's like inundated with misinformation. And we can't downplay what this is doing to our young people. You know, facts don't matter anymore. Everything they get is off those platforms. And these platforms know they're using algorithms to draw our young people into a dark hole. And I don't think we realize how big this threat is to their mental stability, their mental health, promoting violence, promoting bad behavior. They are just targeting our young people. And you know what? TikTok version that we get here, you can't see it in China. What's going on?
I have a few questions. A couple, three. Where did they go? So in that Times story, a couple other people asked about this and these upgrades. It referenced.
He answered that already.
No, this is a different question.
Yeah.
So it referenced meetings with airline reps, sometimes in the presence of diplomats. What did you discuss in those meetings? It also talked about Cenk Okal and Rana Abasova arranging those upgrades. When and how did you first meet those two people? And could you describe your relationship with each of them? And then on a separate topic, back in 2016, Chief Madry was accused of sexual abuse. And so that was an on-the-job situation. You know, similar charges have been leveled against you also on the job situation. Now, the differences in Madry's case, I mean, there are a lot of differences, but one difference is that in Madry's case, the city chose not to grant legal representation to him, and in yours, the city is choosing to do it. So I was wondering if you or someone else at the dais could explain the rationale around that. Like, I mean, there's an inconsistency there, and I'm just wondering if somebody could touch on it.
I think there's a consistency that every case is determined by Corp Counsel on how they're going to move forward. That's consistent. They make the decision. I respect their decision. The second thing is the question you were asking me about Turkish Airlines. You know, can I comment on A, B, C, and D? No. it's taking a process. Let it take its process, you know? And after the process conclude, and no matter government, you're going to be able to read everything in my book. Listen, my attorneys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm pleased with what they're doing. I follow the rules. I don't break laws. I made that clear over and over again, and those who have followed me throughout my entire career, there have been things that have been thrown at me. You know, there have been accusations, and it still come out that the guy follows the rule. I do that. I sleep well at night with my little teddy bear because I follow the rules.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
How are you doing?
Good. Last week, you were talking about when you went in the subways with the NYPD to see what they were doing, and you said that one thing you didn't see them do was engage with people who needed help, people who appear to be homeless, people who appear to be in mental distress. And you also said that under the previous administration, there had been a program in which officers were doing more of that with a team of social workers. I wonder, what kind of model would you like to see? I know we have Scout. Do you want to see an expansion of that? Would you like to see the officers themselves trained in doing that kind of work? We had Chief Shell was on WNYC yesterday, and he said what happens is, you know, they're rotating cops who don't usually tour the subways. They're not used to that. So, you know, it's new for them. And then my second question is, I know you talked to Mayor Bloomberg quite a bit, and I'm wondering if the two of you have ever discussed riding the subways every day to work, because that was something that he did. And I think it was very popular with New Yorkers. It was a very popular gesture. It was like that he was riding to work the same way so many other New Yorkers do. And I thought, you know, the fact that congestion pricing is coming up, it would kind of be a very powerful example to New Yorkers.
Okay, so let's peel that back. First, the previous administration disbanded what was called the Homeless Outreach Unit. There were a lot of noise from the advocates, and, you know, a lot of administrations, when people yell at them, they all of a sudden move away, even if something is working. I don't operate that way. Homeless Outreach Unit was a good concept. They saw the homeless every day. They built trust. They were able to move them out of the system. We put back, and Ann can go into what we did on how to use a combination of mental health professionals, outreach workers, law enforcement personnel, all of them combined together, because you have to ensure the safety. Oftentimes people don't realize that you have to ensure the safety of outreach workers, because, you know, some of those who are experiencing severe mental health illness, some can get violent. And you never want to put a civilian in the atmosphere where they could be harmed in any way. And so we put this combination together, had thousands of interactions. We're seeing some success, and we're going to continue. We want to expand on something. And the commissioner gave me an idea that I think is really brilliant. I'm going to let him announce it himself. But we are continue to evolve on how do we go into the subway system. I said this over and over, and I'm going to say it again. We're dealing with three issues: recidivism, those with severe mental health issues, random acts of violence. You take those three issues off of our plate, you guys will have a challenge or something to write about. It's the same action. The person who pushed the person on the subway track was a recidivist. He was dealing with severe mental health. It was a random act of violence. You hear that cadence over and over and over again. And so we are approaching each one of those pieces. We're fighting to say, let's stop the recidivism. Judges have to step up and do the job that they should be doing. And we're going to be looking at some other things. My counsel, Lisa, is going to be looking at some other things that we could really go after recidivism. Dr. Fassan and Ann are looking at these severe mental health issues. We keep leaning into that. People told us, remember when we started? They said, don't do it, Eric. It's unpopular. You're never going to win it. Everybody's going to hate you. We said we're going to do it anyway. It was the right thing to do. and we're doing the right thing right now. And lastly, random acts of violence. You know, we have to really stop these random acts of violence. They could be a small number, but they will suck all of the oxygen out of the room. Because it is traumatizing to be on a platform and reading that someone was shoved to the tracks. It's traumatizing for someone to punch a woman in her face as she's walking down the block, just enjoying her city. These random acts of violence, as small as they are traumatizing New Yorkers, and we must continue to zero in on them.
And my second question, would you ride the subway to work every day?
Listen, I love riding the subway. I enjoy it a lot. Not only do I do it during the daytime, I'm out there 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and not a lot of mayors do that. And so when you look at my schedule, those of you who follow my schedule, and some of you, after following my schedule, you need a whole 2 days off to sleep, you know, because my schedule is so full. And I'm all over the city, half an hour interviews. I'm at places. And if I could do it, taking the subway to all those locations, I would love to. But every half an hour, my team, Gladys Miranda, who handles all of this stuff, I'm constantly engaging with New Yorkers, moving throughout the city, and it's a very full schedule. So I got to be realistic, not only idealistic.
Mr. Mayor. Morning. Good afternoon. How are you? All right. I'm good. This morning, Hillary Clinton talked about the importance of childcare and how it impacts the economy. Now, we've already seen cuts in the NYC budget and needs to change that. Could you care to comment on that?
On which budget?
On the cuts to the childcare.
In the upcoming budget? Well, we're in budget negotiations right now. We have been really communicating with the speaker. We met with the speaker yesterday on some important topics. So the process is still going through. We have been clear that we don't want to do anything that's going to impact the success we have shown already in this city. And we want to make sure we do it in a balanced way. We have to balance the budget by law. We don't get the opportunity to print new money like the federal government. We have to look at the money that's coming in, and it must match the money that's coming out. And we have to do it that we could be there for those New Yorkers in greater need. And that's what we're going to do. And Adrian has been a great partner. We had 2 budgets already. You know, the city council members are going to raise their concerns. We're going to raise our concerns. But at the end of the day, we're going to land the plane because the law requires us to do that.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you? I'm good. I wanted to ask you a few questions. First question, can we get some clarity on the Alex Spiro hire? How much is he being billed an hour? When did he come on? And the Corporation Council has lots of lawyers working in their department. Why did you need an extra one? Also wanted to ask you, the State Education Department is releasing their report on mayoral control today. Have you seen that report? And are you worried about their recommendations? Final question, going back to the Breakfast Club interview. On that interview, you were asked a lot of questions by lawyer and activist Olayemi. One of the claims she made to you was that you continue to tell New Yorkers this is the safest big city while simultaneously fear-mongering about crime. Can you respond to that?
Let's do it all three, because whenever you ask me a question, I got to peel back each layer, you know. First, on the Breakfast Club, I was amazed I was able to get a word in, you know. Being honest to New Yorkers is not fear-mongering. New York is the safest big city in America. This is not my opinion. The stats show that. We're the safest big city in America. But when I talk about, and thank you for that, you know, you're so kind. You know, these are the facts. Look at these numbers. What's that first one? All the way on the far left. Look at the numbers and look at where we are. Safest big city in America. And you know, we had, I'm so glad you asked that. We had a recruitment in the New York Post today, one of my favorite blue collar papers. We had a recruitment, right? Go to the number of the closest big city next to her is Dallas. Our homicide rate per 100,000 is 4. Dallas is 19. So what she should be doing is telling some of her officers to go over to Dallas, her closest city, to deal with the violence there. So when I tell New Yorkers, honestly, about recidivism, random acts of violence, people with severe mental health illnesses committing acts of violence. That's not fear-mongering. I tell New Yorkers to go out. There's 62 million tourists that come here. I'm out in the streets visiting people. And so being honest is not fear-mongering. I'm not going to be dishonest to New Yorkers. I'm going to tell them we're the safest big city in America, and I'm going to show them what we're going to continue to do so. Now, dealing with Alex, you were asking about... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if you wanted me to step in.
I don't think you have to, because I'm not answering anything else on it. I already answered it. The Corp Council made a decision. They are doing the defense. This is something I will never do, did not happen. That's not how I live my life. I live my life protecting people in general, but women specifically. The Corp Council is doing that. I got to have to stay focused, no distractions, and grind and running our city.
Oh, wait, the last on the State Department report.
Yeah, let me tell you about that State Department report, and we have been clear on this. Number one, CUNY Law School is writing it, or someone that comes from CUNY Law School. Remember them? You know, let's turn our backs on Eric Adams. Let's talk about how great, how bad America is. And the keynote speaker was from Yemen, which she would not even be on the stage and speak in the country. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with the fact when we spoke to the State Department of Ed that they're supposed to compare governance models, and they shared with us on the call that they were not going to do that. They were supposed to look at mayoral accountability and compare it with non-mayoral accountability. Back when we started under Bloomberg, we had a 50-something% graduation rate. We're now over 80% graduation rate. I think we should be comparing the two about mayoral accountability versus non-mayoral accountability across the entire country. We stated that, look at our test scores. We are outpacing reading and writing across the state and others. They said that they're not looking at that because tests can't be so decisive. Then why do them? So I'm concerned, is this more political, or is it about the way we have done it and what Chancellor Banks has done? And so I believe that they should not be rushing to do this report. They should be using what the law required them to do. And when we sat down and communicated with them, it was clear that either someone did not read the law or they determined that they were going to do it the way they wanted to do. We should be comparing mayoral accountability and other school governing models to see the success and then make recommendations. And you know what else they did? They had 5 hearings. They had 100, at most 100 people at each hearing. 5, at most 100 people. The professional parents knew about the hearings ahead of time. They were able to fill the room. You weren't hearing from everyday New Yorkers. And 500 people at most with 1 million students.
And you know what also, Mayor? They didn't tell us what tools they're using to do the assessment. We only know what they're not using. But how are they doing the assessment? And that's the issue. What are you assessing? How are you assessing it?
I would also point out that you have the report. We have still not seen the report. They won't give it up.
Right.
And I think it's important to note that when the report, if it is in fact released today, we will analyze it and let you know what our feedback is. But like Fabian said, we haven't seen it yet.
Unless you want to give it to us.
Yes. Kelly, can you please? Can you please? Because they won't give it to us, please. Think about it. But Kelly, think about that. They leaked the report to you and didn't give it to us. God, come on. This is what we're up against. They're not looking at the facts that Chancellor Banks came in to a school system. We are outpacing the state in reading and writing. We have changed the food that our students are eating. We have changed the cafeterias. Graduation rates are up. I mean, all of these successes, and they write a report by the school that booed me and turned their backs on me, and then they snuck the report to you.
And all of this stuff, and Kelly, remember, all of
Can't
this
make
stuff
this
was
up.
done after COVID. Remember, after COVID, all of this stuff was done. And our kids, reports had been issued that our kids had lagged behind as a result of COVID. And Chancellor Bank, to his credit, and his enormous team, were able to turn that around. So,
Right.
we want to know, what are they doing? How are they judging us?
So good, Fabian, you caught that. I didn't even realize that. They got the report before us. You know, Jeff, do you have the report too? Right, good.
I just going to approach this from a slightly different angle.
Jeff, do you have a question?
No, I get to ask my questions. You can answer however you like, you know?
I agree with you.
So, just stepping back a little bit before all this happened, there was a story in the Daily News that on the day the FBI conducted all those raids in November, some lawyers started working for your legal defense trust. And I'm wondering...
You said days before?
On the same day. On the same day. On November 2nd. So I was curious if you could tell us how it came to be that these attorneys started working on that same day. Did you have advance notice that this was going to happen, or did you have some sort of agreement that you could sort of quickly snap them into action? And then another question that sort of predates some of the investigation stuff. When you initially, you went to Turkey as borough president a few times, did you seek COIB guidance for the upgrades that the New York Times story says that you received?
No, I wouldn't. I did not get any advance notification. You know, former law enforcement, I know how to take steps when you should take steps. And again, I'm not going into the details of this review. Let the process play out. You guys are going to have all the opportunity in the world to write about this entire process. And, you know, those who are still around, you're going to be able to read a lot of this stuff in my book. What are you looking like that for, Mike?
Well, no, you said you didn't get advance notification.
He was asking, did I get advance notification that the actions that took place with Brianna, right, in November? No, no one called me. No one called me to tell me anything. And, you know, they have their methodologies. And, you know, I respect the process.
And did you want to comment at all on whether you got COIB guidance before getting any upgrades to a flight when you were borough president?
Listen, I like your writing, I like you as a person, but if I open up Pandora's box, Michael's going to walk through. You know?
Two questions.
What's going on, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you?
Quite well.
Good. Survived the eclipse. I want to ask you two questions. One, to the Dana Racklin lawsuit. She says that the Dana Racklin lawsuit. She says that police began retaliating against her using her sexual assault after she began criticizing them about certain issues. You yourself were once a critic of the NYPD, and last week you defended the NYPD's right to criticize their critics. But I'm wondering if you think because of the power that the NYPD has, because of the knowledge they has, in Ms. Racklin's case, she said they had discrete knowledge of her sexual assault that they used against her. I'm wondering if you think the NYPD should be allowed to go after their critics in the same way that you would as a politician, for example. Shouldn't there be some limits on how the NYPD responds? As yourself, you were hit when you criticized the NYPD as well. That's my first question. The second question, I'm wondering, do you think it is appropriate for a public official to take upgrades on personal or business travel?
The lawsuit is going to follow its process, and no one should do anything to be abusive to anyone in the city. And if someone crosses that line, they should be held accountable. And my opinion on which one should do an upgrades or not upgrade, let the review take its process. I cannot say that enough. The review is take its process, and I'm not going to speculate and give opinions. I'm going to let the review take its process.
On the critique, though, Mayor, I haven't really heard you be that critical of the NYPD since you became mayor. Have you ever publicly criticized actions of the police department, or do you save that privately? Do you feel like you need to correct them at times in terms of how they respond to their critics?
That's a great question. Jeff, that's a great question. First of all, I'm glad you're acknowledging my history of critiquing when I think is inappropriate behavior. Any person who supervises 313,000, I don't know what our number is now, employees, and as I sat down and communicated with the mayors previously, and all I've read about mayors and everything I learned about leadership, you don't chastise your people in public. You praise them in public, and you chastise them in private. There's no reason when I see something, and there are things I see wrong, trust me, I will call the commissioner and tell him this is not acceptable, or I will go and call that police officer and say, the other day I was at this location and I saw you do this, that's not acceptable. Or I will go back, I will tell my team, pull the car over, and I will go to those officers that are on patrol and say it's not acceptable. Matter of fact, you guys, one of you wrote about the story when I was on the open streets and I saw a bunch of officers congregated, and I got off the parade route and went over to them and say, this is not how the people of the city need to see you. You need to spread out and you need to do your job correctly. So I reprimand in private and I praise in public.
But have you, in terms of the upgrades, have you ever, do you have a policy
Last question.
for your administration about whether anybody can take upgrades when they travel?
My policy is to allow the attorneys to do their job. That's my policies, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm following my policies. I have counsel, and my counsel is doing their job. And I have the utmost of faith in Corp Counsel and utmost in faith in Lisa, who they called what they call you, the mini tornado back in the day?
Tiny. Tiny tornado.
Right. Who was the smallest goalie in the history of the city when she played soccer.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Quite well. How are you doing?
Doing just fine. So previously you've spoken out against the city's sanctuary city laws. You've said, and I quote, "I don't believe people who are violent in our city, commit repeated crimes, should have the privilege of being in our city." So last week there was another assault involving a group of migrants at a Target on the Upper East Side. They assaulted a cop. They've since been charged and released. So is there any push by your administration to revisit those sanctuary laws as you've spoken out against before? What is your administration doing in that effect? And then additionally, following up on security in the wake of that incident, as well as the incident at Randall's Island, where is the security review with all of these security contracts you had? You said you were analyzing this. I would assume Tim Pearson is probably near the top of this since he heads that. What's the status of that review and metal detectors and all the things that your administration has spoken about in the last few weeks?
So this is one of the biggest mix-ups I hear all the time when I'm speaking to people. Sanctuary City is not for migrants and asylum seekers. They are paroled into the country legally. Sanctuary City is if you're here and you are undocumented, we are not allowed to turn you over to ICE. We're not allowed to deny you services. We can't turn you over to the police. No city agency could coordinate with people based on your immigration status. And so what I said, even with those who are undocumented and those who are migrants and asylum seekers, if you are a repeated offender of a violent act in this city, after you serve your time, you need to leave this city. That is my position. People should not come here and be violent to everyday citizens of the city and to other migrants and asylum seekers. Because some of the incidents we're seeing, they're attacking other migrants and asylum seekers who just want to come here and pursue the American dream. I pulled in the team to do a complete analysis on security, on cost of security, how much it's costing us, how well we're doing. When you look at 3,000, what's those numbers on Randall's DM? Is it 3,000?
I think it's 3,000.
Think about this for a moment. 3,000 people are placed in an environment, many of them are young, and told you can't do anything all day but sit there for the whole day. I'm amazed at how well they're doing. I would have never predicted that we would have a skirmish every once in a while. I was really fearful of putting 3,000 people from different walks of life in one setting, 3,000 people in one setting, and saying all you can do all day is to sit here all day. That's inhumane. And so we are taking the necessary security precaution, and evidently we're doing the right thing because we're not seeing skirmishes hop up all the time. We're seeing just the opposite. We're seeing people saying we want to wait so we can finally get our crack at the American dream. And the team is going to put in the metal detectors. We're doing stuff such as curfews. We had a good team that's analyzing this. Deputy Mayor Banks, who's extremely knowledgeable. He was the chief of the department. Tim Pearson, who, as an inspector, what he has done around public safety. These guys know what they're doing, and evidently they're doing something right. Because we're not seeing what I was even thought we were going to have more skirmishes.
Don't forget the costs are coming down.
Right, and the cost of doing it is coming down. Camille and her team, Molly, when you start an emergency, you are dealing with. You got to find vendors that's going to do certain things. There's just such a rush. And people know it. They know they got you over the barrel. But now we're at a point, we're still in an emergency state, but we're at a point that we can now go back and relook at these contracts to bring down the cost the way we want. We're doing 30% PEG, right?
Yes.
30% PEG. And we're going to reach that number. Okay.
Thank you.